Hi, everyone. My name is Sam, and I wanted to give you an overview of the growth stage here at GitLab and how we think about our process, which is a little bit unique versus other product and development teams, and thinking about how that intersects with product-led growth, and then our some highlights from this past year and our current focus areas. And to start, I just want to give you an overview of our team structure. I've myself, and then Gail and Paige on the PM side. And then on the engineering side, we have Camille leading Doug, Roy, Ross, and Sergey. And then kind of an overall introduction to growth. The growth section is really dedicated to making it easier for teams to find value and efficiency within the GitLab platform. So this actually means we work across stages within the product to make it as easy as possible for users and teams to adopt features and find value. The unique kind of aspect of growth is that the PM side rolls up into marketing and strategy under the strategy section. The reason for this is so that we can be aligned from a go-to-market perspective as a company on what's important to drive the most value for our users into the product, and then ideally becoming paying customers. And then on the development side, our engineers roll up into the core development team since we work within the core product. So this gives us a healthy balance of we're operating within the product from a development perspective, but we're aligned, very well aligned from a go-to-market perspective. And then stepping to the right here, thinking about product-led growth, it's really a business strategy around your product being an acquisition source for future customers. So think of our free product, our trial, and even our open source offering. And there's a really nice overlap between product-led growth and open source software, where it's really centered around user-centric development and making it as easy as possible for people to use your software and contribute to it. And then from starting to get into our process perspective a little bit, we leverage both qualitative and quantitative data to make incremental MVC improvements, as well as run experiments to have learnings on how we can improve the user experience. And then this informs our future roadmap. So we purposefully do not have a long-term annual roadmap like a lot of product teams do, because we want to take the learnings that we have and continually build upon them. So there are larger themes that we work within, but the core pieces of work that we work on ideally are changing because we're learning new things and we're testing new things to improve that user experience or that team experience. With that in mind, there's some principles that we kind of operate from. We have strategic partners across the organization, which are core to making sure that growth efforts are both great for our users and teams, but also aligned with business strategy. And then within our team ourselves, we're really focused on helping teams find efficiency and value in the GitLab platform. And this leads into really helping them find and adopt multiple stages and making that as easy as possible. And then lastly, for teams, how do we make it easier for them to intuitively find value in paid features that's not obtrusive? So when a particular paid feature would actually make their team potentially more efficient and add value to their process, how can we better highlight that to them so that they know that's an option for them or an opportunity? When it comes to prioritization, I like to think of it in this matrix where we really ideally have a bucket of work of box one of low effort, high impact, and this is really priority work that we can pick up as it comes up to improve that user and team experience. And then box two is really where we go a little bit deeper and we believe there's a lot of value, but there's more work to be done to understand and validate before proceeding with a larger initiative. So that's running small experiments, iterative improvements, and then both qualitative and quantitative analysis to validate those areas that we work in. And then for box three, this is an area where if we have space, we can pick up work and happily make improvements to areas. And then box 4 is really we try and avoid unless there's strategic business priorities that require us to focus in particular areas. And then one of my favorite slides, the highlights from the last year. The team successfully launched user limits. This was a huge initiative for the company as a whole, and a large amount of effort went into it across the team. And I want to congratulate the team on shipping that and it being successful, and the business is seeing great value out of it, and continues to do so, which is great to see. And then I want to highlight partnership with the anti-abuse team. The growth team worked closely with the anti-abuse team as they launched a more sophisticated system to identify risky signups. And this enabled the vast majority of our signups, which are not risky, to not have that extra verification process, which in turn has made it a lot easier for those signups to find value in GitLab and adopt features like verify. And we're seeing this in our metrics, and it's great to see. And I'm confident it's going to have a meaningful impact for us. And it's a hats off to both teams for getting this across the line and getting it across the line so smoothly. It's really an improvement to our user experience that should be celebrated. And then lastly, user registration, kind of data visibility. We now have the ability to understand not only when people drop off in our sign up funnel, but we're also able to understand where they came from. And this is really important when we think about that kind of larger product-led growth strategy of what campaigns from our colleagues higher up in marketing are actually driving the most valuable people to sign up for our product. We can help provide some of those insights now, so that we, like the paid ads team, for example, can better spend their ad dollars, knowing what is actually driving people who see GitLab as valuable into our product. And then our current focus areas at the moment are, kind of continuing to button up that user registration experience. We have a few experiments that we want to run, as well as some additional potential data collection to analyze. But the experience is in a great place. There's some iterative improvements for us to make there that we'll continue to make. And then secondly, we want to further highlight paid value during an active trial. We've seen in user feedback from user research and in the data that sometimes it's hard to discover paid features, and then it's also hard to understand the value associated with them. So this will be a focus area of how we can better highlight what paid features make sense, especially for users in trials. And then lastly, we find that teams are most successful when they adopt verify and when they collaborate with their colleagues. So these are two kind of large buckets of work within activation, but they're important areas for us to focus on in terms of how can we make it as easy as possible for somebody signing up to get their code in GitLab and get verify set up, as well as how can we make it as easy as possible for them to invite their colleagues, or if their colleague signs up for an individual GitLab account, how could they find their colleagues in another namespace, for example. That is a very large, broad subject. But there's a ton of value to add there to our users and our teams that are using GitLab, and it's in the area our team is really excited to explore. And then lastly, I'll just end on where you can find us on Slack, in the handbook, and then a link to our Kanban board. So I'll be sure to share a link to this presentation as well. Bye, everyone.